Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of See Good People. My name is Kelsey Coop Charles. With me, as always, I have Antonio Long. As usual, Long, how's everything going this evening?
Everything's lovely there, brother. How you doing? Been a little while. Glad to see you. Hope everything's going well for you.
It was until about 4:15 this afternoon, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's go ahead and get started on what we're going to do.
I ain't even going to go there because I'm playing right now, so therefore I ain't even going to say a word, So, but one of the things I want to express to the folks out there, I hope that y'all have a happy and safe Thanksgiving this week, and y'all enjoy yourselves, fill yourselves up, be thankful. Remember what the reason is for this beautiful occasion. Let's give thanks. We still here. It's a lot of folks that ain't here that was here last year, and this is an opportunity to go ahead and give the Lord thanks for what we have and what we are still being blessed with on a daily basis.
That's right. You got to find the positivity in it because the last couple of years really have been kind of rough. I mean, some people took the chance to get together for Thanksgiving last year in the midst of the pandemic, without a vaccine or a way of protecting themselves. But hopefully this year will be a little bit better. We do have a vaccine out now. It's still up in the air whether it's being, working to its full capacity or not, but something is better than nothing. You got to believe in something. So we still encourage everybody, social distance, quarantine, do whatever you got to do, but also enjoy your family. So having said that, Brother Long, I'm turning back over to you.
All right. So again, this week, we're not really going to shout out the sponsors because of the fact, we've been going a little while and we building up this here, getting ready for a powerful 2022. But we're going to continue with our series, The Power of Motown and Stax Music. And what we're going to focus on is some of the artists from both Motown and Stax during these next few episodes. And today we're going to start with the great Marvin Gaye. Marvin. So many different ways we can go with this, but we're going to stay true to the artist and understand the power and what he brought to R&B and the reason why R&B is what it is today.
Exactly. To jump this thing off, we'll just go back into a little bit of the history of Marvin. He started singing in church when he was 4 years old, accompanied by his father on the piano. Now, that's saying something because him and his father, they had a really tumultuous relationship. And of course, we all know it culminated in the early 80s, or 84, 85, I think it was. When his dad fatally shot him a day before his birthday, April 1st.
Yep.
So, kind of fast forward, we rewind that back, but music was his escape. You come up in a black family back in the day, even some now, because we still, carry those traditions on. You stepped out of line, you got dealt with, it was some form of punishment. But to Marvin's point, from what I've read anyway, I don't know because I wasn't there. His father put hands on him quite a bit, even more so in his teenage years when he got older. So music was kind of his escape. Growing up in the DC area, he sang with a couple of groups in high school. He wound up dropping out and going and listening to the Army, but Army life wasn't for him either. So he got discharged from the Army and came back, and he started singing, doing different things there. He had a couple of small stints with some groups. He tried to get a deal with Chess Records, but that fell through. So he did a couple of things, a couple other labels I think he dealt with until he ultimately wound up in Detroit. Even when he was in Detroit, he didn't initially get signed to Motown. He was with another label. I forgot what the name of it was.
It was Tamla Records. It was a subsidiary of Motown.
Motown, right? But before then, it was another record label that he was with because he traveled there with
Bo Diddley.
Yeah, and Fuqua. What was his last name? I've got to go back on my notes here. Let's see what we got. But under Fuqua's direction, yeah. Tri-Fi Records. Yeah, that's what it was. Tri-Fi, because he played drums for a couple of groups before he actually got introduced to Motown and started with that. I mean, when he joined Motown, Tamla Records, the rest of it was history. So that's pretty much taking him from his early childhood up to the Motown. And that's where he pretty much found his claim to fame with Motown. He
Yeah,
had some early
because
successes and failures with them, but once he took off, he took off.
yeah, one of the things when he first started with Motown, Marvin was the in-house drummer for the Miracles and also for the Marvelettes. And this gave him an opportunity to hone his craft as a musician and also have the opportunity to work with the great producers of the time, which is, the forefront of Motown, Mr. Smokey Robinson. Smokey, people, when we look at Motown, Smokey is the prominent figure of Motown because Smokey did everything. Smokey was the writer, producer, the organizer, the arranger, everything. Smokey was, quite frankly, the king of Motown. But
he was the heartbeat of it.
Yeah, but Marvin came along and Marvin became the prince of Motown. And if you want to even take it a step further, the prince of soul, because, Marvin spoke and sang from his soul. In the early years, he followed the classic Motown directive, which was Barry Gordy did not believe in individual singers. Barry Gordy believed in groups and he believed in duets. That's what he felt was the biggest thing. And most prominently, he did duets with, everybody knows, Tammy Terrell. That was his #1 duet partner. But he also did it with Diana Ross and
Mary Wells too.
Mary Wells as well. That was how Marvin felt that the play or the interaction between male and female voices always gave you the right sound, and that was part of what the Motown sound was all about. If you wasn't in a group, you had to be in, with the duet. And one of the things with the duets, and if you go back and you look at old features of Marvin Gaye, Marvin never wanted to go to the mandatory, and people don't realize this. This was one of the things that Barry Gordy really pushed on all his acts: mandatory grooming and mandatory etiquette classes that he had for all his acts, because he wanted his acts to be a certain way in public and to carry themselves a certain way in public. And Marvin didn't like authority at all.
No.
And Marvin,
that's from the childhood, though. That's from the childhood, because look at what authority did,
Yeah, and that was always his thing. That's why he didn't last in the military. He, and in later years, that's why he clashed with Barry Gordy himself, because of the fact he didn't like being told what to do and how to do it.
When to do it, right.
And that was the thing about Marvin. But if you ever pay attention, Marvin also never went to any of the choreograph classes and never put any moves or any dance steps or anything to any of his songs. And that is why a lot of times when you see old Marvin Gaye reels, Marvin is just standing at the mic and he doing what he does best, which is sing.
That's it. That's what he does. And it's interesting you said that, because Marvin was kind of a rebel, but I think once he started doing his duets with Tammy, that kind of changed him. He felt like he belonged to something that kind of found purpose. And so it was equally as hurting, I guess, when she was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and she subsequently succumbed to cancer. And that sent Marvin in a totally different place. He became, I guess the music became secondary to him at that point. He did it, but I guess he had lost the passion for it, the love for it. He was still great at it, but it was just a little bit different for him.
Yeah. Tammy, from the research I did, I never saw where there was anything, between him and Tammy Terrell. I think they just had a great friendship, and they had a great chemistry for singing together, and because every song that they ever made with each other was classic. And even to this day, it's still, there is no sound like, even though Marvin did duets with other folks, there is no sound like him and Tammy Terrell together. All I Need is always a classic. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, that's a classic.
Ain't nothing like the real thing. Your Precious Love.
Your Precious Love, I mean, man, that's what we grew up on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you heard that all the time, and you realize, you know, Marvin was a power. You know, him and Tammy Terrell was a power unto themselves, because they was at the time, you know, probably the most prominent duo in music at the time, you know. So when she died, that took him through a hard depression. But when he came back, the thing about Marvin became more of a revolutionary. This was during the late 60s, early 70s, when the world had changed. The happiness and joy of the happiness and joy of the early 60s in Motown wasn't the same anymore. Everybody had grown at that point. They weren't teenagers anymore.
Right.
And that became evident. And they started realizing and seeing what was going on in the world.
Right. I think there's nothing new under the sun. I think the same things that are going on now were going on then. It's just that, just like for them, I guess, with the evolution of some media outlets, just like we have social media today, we were exposed to more. And so when you saw something, you had to say something. You know, that's when Marvin became that revolutionary, more political, you know. And that's where the song, I guess, What's Going On came from. And in my research too, I saw that Barry Gordy, he refused to release that song in the beginning, but he gave the record company an ultimatum, and, you know, because Barry thought it would bring, I guess, bad press or a bad look to Motown, but he subsequently gave in, and that was a #1 hit for Marvin, for Motown. It was a big win for Motown, because that song, it brought awareness to a lot of things, and I mean, that's a pretty deep song, you know.
And it's still relevant today, because that's one of the things that song is everlasting, because I don't want to say that things that were going on then are still going on now, but it's still relevant, because, you know, you sometimes you truly have to say, well, you know, what's going on, because I don't know how it is there, but man, the last couple of weeks here, it's just been real crazy. It's been a lot of senseless nonsense, even to take it, you know, to modern day music. I mean, the death of Young Dolph. I mean, a brother that's trying to do right by his city, by his peeps, and, you know, he gets gunned down in a cookie shop. You know, that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's the utter senselessness of where we at. And you know, I take this time to, you know, say a public message. You know, we're not doing it. You know, the Rittenhouse verdict came down and everybody got upset, and I understand, because, you know, it's same old like it always is. But this is the thing: we can get angry and upset about that verdict and whatever, but why we don't get angry and upset about stuff that happened in our own community? You know what I'm saying? Because it's no different than what's going on. We doing it to ourselves, but we want to make so much and get so angry about that situation because of the fact, you know, it was during a protest. But we have the same thing. I don't know, you know, I know where you at. I know y'all have it every day. I know for sure here, every day in Columbia, some senseless shooting, and it ain't no white person shooting no black person shooting no white person. It's black on black. And you sit there and nobody bats an eye, nobody gets upset, nobody gets angry.
And nobody says anything, even though they know.
Even though we know. And all we do is we sit there and be like, oh, here we go again, another. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of them things that this is something, if we're going to move forward as a people, this is something that we got to stop. We got to stop hurting ourselves first before we worry about somebody else hurting us.
We got to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We got to have those uncomfortable conversations. You know, we got to be put in some uncomfortable situations in order for things to change. Because if not, I mean, it's going to get worse. It's going to get a whole lot worse.
It's already worse, brother. Ever since the pandemic started, man, there's been more foolishness than I've ever seen. And it's like, what are y'all doing? Because we got something that's out here that can kill us anyway. But then y'all go out here and y'all make stuff worse because you're killing yourself in the first place, you know? Yeah. And it's like, I guess probably because we older now and we understand a whole lot more. But like I tell my kids, you know, ain't nothing good happening after 12 o'clock. Period.
No, after dark.
And I reiterate it like this here. After 12 o'clock, either you trying to get up in something or something trying to get up in you. So ain't nothing good gonna come from none of that, you know.
Not at all.
And that just comes from being on this earth 49 years and understanding, you know, that's what it is.
I think we got to go back to policing our own. And I mean, what I mean by that is we got to look out for each other like we did back in the day. As parents, we can't get upset because someone else said something to our child. We need to learn to be appreciative and take up on a place of love that they're looking out for you because they see you doing something wrong. They want to correct it so you can be here. You know, there's always places waiting for you. Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And it's going to cost taxpayers money. But I mean, we've got to be able to get to that point where we police our own, and a community is really what it is, a community or a village, you know, and it doesn't have to be black and black and be black and white. It's just people that care about each other, that understand. It's like the song said, Marvin said, you know, what's going on. You know, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. I mean, we got to have those conversations. We got to have it. It's got to happen. I mean, and he had the forefront and the wherewithal to see that back then and write about it. You know, and like you said, it still rings true today. So we really got to, you know, music is an outlet. You know, there's a lot of lessons that could be taught in that. You know, people sing about some of the craziest things, but in a lot of that, sometimes you do get a good message. And I think that one song was a good message. You know, people sing about love and all that stuff, but what's going on? I mean, that was a very relevant song. Like you said, it stood the test of time.
It stands the test of time, and what it does is it presented, you can be revolutionary or you can be contrary to the popular belief of the time and still be relevant and be provocative. That's what you need to be. Even today with today's R&B, every artist should take the opportunity to go back and listen at old Motown or old Stax and listen at how they presented different topics, because they all, whether it was political, whether it was about love, whether it was about relationships, friendships, they all had a point of view in their music to bring it where it is. Because one of the things we can also, even though Marvin was revolutionary, you know, because, you know, even with what's going on, he had inner city blues, you know, but the thing that we associate Marvin with is Marvin may have had some of the greatest love songs that you ever want to talk about. You know, Let's Get It On is a classic. And if you actually listen to the words of Let's Get It On, I mean, there's no way you can listen to that and not feel something for somebody that you care about. Now, it ain't for, you know, somebody that's just trying to hit it and quit it, but it's more so for, hey, you know, I'm talking to my woman, that's what I want, you know. Distant Lover, to see Marvin, and Distant Lover was recorded live when they did it. Marvin with the white coat, the green striped pants, the big bow tie, but Marvin shut down that concert with Distant Lover. I think that was, I want to say 72, 73, somewhere in there. 40, you know, that's probably how I got here, to be honest. You know, but I mean, Distant Lover is a classic, you know what I'm saying? Because there's no other sound like that. And then for him to still get away from Motown eventually, and then move into in the 80s when he went to CBS and the breakout Sexual Healing, man.
Oh yeah.
His first Grammy Award winning song. But Marvin, Sexual Healing to this day. And that opened up a new genre when Marvin started and that was in 82, but that hit,
Quiet Storm.
That hit, that made everybody change, because that made Smoke It came with the Quiet Storm right after that. You had the Isley Brothers, you know, In Between the Sheets. It started a different genre of R&B, You know,
Yeah.
hey, I'm finna tell you about this tension that I got built up, but I know how we can make it feel right.
Exactly.
By doing a
Yeah.
little something. You know what I'm saying?
But it was still tasteful the way he did it. You still, I mean, like we said, a couple of podcasts ago, you still have that music as of now, but it's not mainstream. You got to find it.
You got to go find
it.
You got to go find it. And the thing about it is, we tend to, I guess me and you, we kind of tend to, because that's how we were brought up. We kind of tend to lean on that type of music from when we were growing up, because of the fact, it insinuated. I would say that was the best way. It insinuated. It didn't tell you flat out, this is what I want to do to you. Right. It gave you metaphors and similes of ways to make you think, to put a seed in your mind. This is what I want to do to you. And I think to me that's more sexually acceptable than just coming straight out and say it. Now, not saying that coming straight out and saying it don't have its place.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't want to, sometimes, and be honest, and probably because we older now, that's why we can say it like this. When you older, sometimes you want to hear the sweet things, the good things, the little things here and there.
You have more time.
Because you got more time.
You take time more seriously. When you're young, you just on the go.
Well, if you was like me when I was young, you trying to do all that you could because you ain't know when the next time was gonna happen.
That's true.
Now, that's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the game now, so hey, I got all night if I need it. But back in the day, if we're gonna be all night, better get all we can, because when it's over with, ain't no telling, bro. You might go through a serious drop.
That's true.
It ain't like how it was when like it is now, like how my kids, they just giving it up with the quick. When we would come, we had to do a whole lot of begging.
Yeah. Hence the key sweats and all that, but that's a whole nother
song. That's a whole nother day to itself. But I'm just saying we had to do a whole lot of begging, whole lot of begging.
When you think about, back in the Motown era, I mean, they gave you the blueprint. I mean, they talked about it every which way they could, but discreetly. You think about it, you think about Temptations, some of the songs they came out with, Just My Imagination, I Can't Get Next to You, all that stuff. And then you had the Four Tops, and then you had Smokey with Our Secondary Emotion. And then like you said, Marvin Gaye, he was the king of it. I mean, he was, I want to say, if my memory serves me correct, I think he came along a little before Teddy Pendergrass.
Marvin did come before Teddy. Now, when Teddy first came out, Teddy was still with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. But Harold Melvin was not singing the type songs that Teddy would eventually start singing when he became a solo artist. He was still singing. And then, to be honest, there are some great similarities between Marvin Gaye and Teddy Pendergrass when you think about it. Because when Marvin first started, he was regimented. The songs was a certain way or whatever, even though he was part of the star of the group or whatever with Tammy Terrell. They sung about love in this kind of way. Same thing with Teddy. Teddy started that way, but then once Teddy broke away, Teddy took it to a higher level.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Teddy gets more of a higher ranking than Marvin does. But Marvin, actuality, if you listen at the song, Marvin's right there with Teddy when it comes to singing ballads. And then that was, during the 70s, that was the time when you had balladeers, what I'm saying? Because I think
the reason why Teddy gets a little bit more, because I think Marvin was a little more PG. Besides, Sexual Healing, which he came out with in the late 80s, in the early 80s, by mid 80s, 83, 82, somewhere along there. But Teddy was like, turn off the lights, close the door, so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back. I mean, he was doing an all-female concert. So, he gets the nod on that because he was a little bit more, I guess, I'm not even going to say R-rated, but he was
sexual. Teddy was sexual.
She was more, adult oriented. I mean, even though Marvin was too, but Teddy was he owned it. He owned it a little bit more.
Teddy owned it, and once Teddy broke away, he took it and he capitalized. Teddy, everybody knew Teddy was. I mean, from the first time you heard Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes, you knew Teddy was a star. So he capitalized on his star.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy was the voice. Harold Melvin was the name. But once Teddy found out how much Harold was making and what he was doing, Teddy said, "I'm out. I'm good. I'm gonna do my own thing."
So again, that's why I say Marvin was the same way. Marvin saw how Marvin never wanted to be controlled. That was always his thing. And Berry Gordy had a blueprint for how he wanted everybody at Motown to be. And Marvin did not want to conform to that blueprint.
No, but you think about it, though, Berry was successful with what he was doing, though. So, I mean, he had no reason to think otherwise.
You can't argue with it.
Yeah.
You can't argue with it. But if you actually look at the arc of Motown, everybody started with the same premise of we're going to follow Berry's blueprint. But as they got older, because all of them were teenagers when they first started.
Yeah.
Okay. But as they got older and realized the ways of the world, they started to realize, ho. I want to be this type of person. And, once you grow up, when you first start, you one way when you first start out. But then as you grow as a person, your personality and stuff starts to change. And then you start realizing it happened with every group that was at Motown. Because if you look at it, there was the Temptations went through it.
How many sets of Temptations you got now? You got about 6 or 7 sets of Temptations?
That's what I'm saying. The Supremes went through it.
With Diana,
the Jackson 5 went through it, because for some reason, I don't know who, and that's a show we're gonna have to do one day. Who thought thought Jermaine was better than Michael? I ain't figured that one out yet. When really Michael sung every song, and somehow Jermaine thought it was, I need to leave and go out on my own. I don't know who talked him into that one. I don't know why. Jermaine, all you did was sing on I'll Be There. That's all, I'm just going to say it like that. But every group that was on Motown went through that phase. And even the Commodores, they was the same thing. Lionel realized that, hey, I'm the songwriter. Why I got to be part of this group when I can go out here, and I can be the lead and get everything myself, and that started the downfall of, I think, and in some ways, and more we dig into this, that started the downfall of Motown, is when they grew up and they began to realize that they had more power than what they thought they had when they started realizing where they were as an artist.
Well, yeah, I mean, time changes everything. As you grow, that's going to happen. I mean, you say Motown, but I think pretty much every group, I mean, even with Boys and Men, with Mike McCary leaving the group, I mean, you're always going to have that tension or the dissension amongst the group members. I mean, because you're together that long, you spend all that time together, something's bound to happen, whether it's creatively or any other way. Don't get me wrong. I think, with Lionel, I think he loved the Commodores. They'll always be his brothers, but he felt it was something that he had to do because, the creativity that was in him wouldn't allow him to just remain a part of that because he had to go out and do it on his own. I mean, this is like with CeeLo with Goody Mob, and that's going all the way in a totally different direction. It's not that he wanted to leave Goody Mob, it's just that he had something that he felt he compelled to do, and he had to do it. He'd be doing himself a disservice if he didn't, like you said. So, I mean, all groups go through that. I mean, even when it came to the Temptations, in the beginning with David, it's something he had to do. I mean, he was different.
I think that was fueled. I think that was fueled by the narcotic. I'm just gonna say.
Well, I mean, he was.
But when you knew you was the star, the star, I understand that.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. I know that. We know that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
That
He
was
had the
true.
voice. He carried the group at the time. Now it
But
was all the Temptations was set up that everybody led songs, everybody did things, but when David stood out there, I mean, he stood out.
But the key thing, and this is something that all youngsters should understand and realize, there's only been one group that could break up and still be great individually, and that's New Edition. Nobody else can do that. Nobody else has the power to do that, because one of the things, those 6 guys are special. There is never gonna be another group like them, okay?
No,
nobody else can match that. Nobody else has the talent to match that, okay?
right.
There's no more Bobby Browns, there's no more Ralph Tresvants, no more Johnny Gills, no more Ricky Bells, Mike Bivins, Ronnie DeVos. That is it. That is the only group to ever break up and still be great individually. They
And
would
the crazy
never.
thing about that is your lead single was like the least successful out of all
It's
of
the
them.
least successful out of all of them, and he great. That's the thing, because we all wanted to be him growing up.
Mm-hmm.
We all used to wear wave caps because of Ralph, not because of nothing else, because of Ralph Tresvant.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted waves because we thought the girls was gonna like the wave, and we had the shag because of Ralph.
That's it. And it's crazy. The mastermind behind the whole thing was Mike Bivins. I mean, it's crazy because he took it and ran with it. He found Boys and Men. I mean, he found another bad creation. I mean, he was Puffy before Puffy. I mean,
again, I say again, you cannot deny the greatness of New Edition. Anybody that tries to, you can't. No other group, male or female, can withstand the greatness of New Edition. Period.
That is true. That is true.
Period.
That is true.
Because even the great Destiny's Child, as much as I love Kelly, Kelly's great. She's wonderful. She ain't the queen.
No. And I mean, like you said, with New Edition, once New Edition does their own thing, you got just as many hits coming from Ralph by himself, Johnny by himself, Bobby showed enough, and then you got BBD. So I mean, you got 5-6 concerts in one.
When they do their stint in Las Vegas coming up next year, it is going to be wonderful because of the fact you get a full show with 6 brothers that can give you an individual show, and then they all come back together. And even when we go next year, all I want to hear is one song.
What's that?
Telephone Man. Because if Bobby, I'm good.
I gotta hear Can You Stand It? Is Ralph gonna be there? I know they
all 6 of them signed.
Okay, they stay kicking him out the group. They stay kicking him out.
All 6 of them have signed. They are going to be on this show in Las Vegas during this stint. And look at Ralph might well suck it up. Ralph, you ain't gonna never be as big as Bobby. You ain't never gonna be as big as Johnny. And you sure ain't gonna never be as big as BBD. Just suck it up, bro. Just suck it up.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been selfish. But anyway, let's put a bow on this thing with Marvin, man. I would say Marvin was ahead of his time. You know, he was an excellent musician, but at the same time, he was a far superior R&B singer. And it's funny because in the beginning, Marvin never wanted to sing R&B. He wanted to go to jazz route. But as the cards would have it, I'm glad he went the way he did because we got some great classics, duets and singles. I mean, like you alluded to, Let's Get It On, Sexual Healing, What's Going On, you know, I Heard It Through the Grapevine. He has some good songs, man. He has some great songs.
How many people have remade I Heard It Through the Grapevine?
Oh man, it's quite a bit. I know 5. I think Gladys did it. A couple other groups did it.
But this is the thing. His version is still the greatest version.
Yeah. And we didn't touch on it, but I'm gonna say this too while I'm wrapping this up. The national anthem. Hey.
By far. Anybody, and I advise all of you all, YouTube this here, 1983 All-Star Game in Los Angeles at the Great Western Forum, former home of the Los Angeles Lakers. Y'all youngsters, y'all don't know nothing because all y'all know is Staples Center. But the Forum used to be the place to be back in the 80s. If you was going to watch the Lakers, that's where you was going to be watching the Lakers at the Great Western Forum. Marvin Gaye did the greatest. Forget Whitney Houston's rendition in 1991, blah, blah, blah. Forget R. Kelly's rendition at the fight back in the early 90s. Forget that one. The greatest rendition of the Star Spangled Banner is by Marvin Gaye, 1983 All-Star Game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the brother was as good. I mean, he had one of the smoothest voices. You know, it wasn't strong. It was just real laid back. But I'm telling you, man, he was a force to be reckoned with. He was taken away from us too soon because I still believe that some of his best years are still ahead of him.
Oh yeah.
You know? But as fate would have it, I guess it just wasn't in the cards. But I mean,
well, one of the things in putting a bow on this is one of the things as we go through and continue with this series is you're going to realize these are people with immense talent, but deeply, deeply flawed. And because of that flawed, you see how their life turns out. Their lives are roller coasters. They have the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. That has been, I would say, the trademark of these two record companies. You know, while they did great things for the community, they came at a price.
Music business is a cold game. It's a cold game all the way around.
Yeah, they came at
around and you don't have that support system around you. It's a cold game.
Yeah,
it's a very cold game.
Yeah, and we're gonna explore that as we go forward with that. Once again, Kelsey, hey, great show. Look, do a few more before the end of the year.
We got to get at least 3 more in before the end of the year.
Oh yeah. We own it, bro. We own it. And we'll sit down. We'll decide who next on this list.
Oh, I already know. We're gonna switch over to Stax. We're gonna do Johnny Taylor. It's already there. We're gonna do Johnny Taylor.
Now we're talking. Now we talking the juke joint now, baby.
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and switch gears totally. We're going to Johnny Taylor. We're gonna
talk about what we know down south.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Cheaper to keep it.
It's cheaper to keep it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, bro.
I'm gonna go ahead and put the seed out here. You know, give the listeners something to think about, because I believe Johnny had the greatest question ever in music. He said, "Who's making love to your old lady while you out making love?"
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That look here. If that don't make you stop and think, ain't nothing gonna make you stop and think, bro.
That's it. I know what I'm doing, but what is she doing?
What is she doing? Cause while you out there creeping, better believe she ain't home waiting on you, bro.
No, Jody.
Yes, sir.
Jody's there.
That's
gonna be a good one.
Look at Johnny Taylor is gonna take y'all some places now. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
That's gonna take y'all some places.
Oh yeah.
All right? Well, y'all have a good Thanksgiving, bro, and I'll holler at you.
Y'all do the same.
All right, and everybody out there that listening to the podcast, again, we appreciate y'all. Y'all enjoy your holiday, and y'all probably hear from us next week too.
Most definitely.
All right.
Until next time.
Shout out to Polo. I love it. The more I listen to it, the more I love it, baby.
Oh yeah, most definitely.